Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Happy Thursday. Almost the weekend. Just hold in there for one more day, and then it stretches out before us. No huge Packers headlines today. Shout out to all the Catholics out there. Congratulations on your new Pope, which dominated my social feed this afternoon. And most importantly, before we get going, his brother confirming he was never a Cubs fan, was always a Sox fan. So all you Cubs fans can just relax. All right. Had a lot of that in my feed today. But the Green Bay Packers, not a whole lot when it comes to the world of headlines. But I did want to discuss real briefly Savion Williams, the Packers' third-round pick, who obviously was a draft crush of mine and selected by the Green Bay Packers in the draft a couple weeks ago. This is a bit of an extension of what we talked about yesterday concerning Romeo Doubs, but you know, this idea that the Packers have selected two wide receivers in this draft, and so now automatically we should be shopping these guys that are already on the roster. Talked a bit about that yesterday, so I won't belabor that point. But case in point, Savion Williams is pretty damn raw when it comes to what they're going to be asking him to do at the receiver position. I understand they will undoubtedly look for ways to get the ball in his hands somewhat early on. I don't doubt for a moment they'll have some end around type stuff. Use him maybe in the Tyler Ervin role at times, although I do think McCall Hardman will step in there as well. There's no doubt that he's very exciting with the ball in his hands, and there's also no doubt that they'll look to kind of find ways to get him involved early on in the season, his rookie year. But it is his rookie year. And as I've said in the past, and I've said a couple times since he was selected, I think the Packers see him as a wide receiver, not as some gadget guy, not as some guy who's going to work primarily out of the backfield, not some Cordell Patterson clone. I think they see him, rightfully so, as a wide receiver who is going to take some time. He has every tool you could ever want at the position, especially the classic kind of mold that the Packers have traditionally liked at wide receiver. Big, tall, strong, fast, able to work over the middle, able to muscle through some of the toughness over the middle when the weather starts to turn and those hits get, pretty hellacious and you're working those dig routes and slants and what have you into the linebackers and into the safeties coming down screaming and looking to take your head off. Though in the modern game, that's hardly as much as it used to be. But that's how I think they see him. I don't think they see him as just a gadget guy. And to that end, he is raw as hell. And I know you've probably consumed content from either Andy Herman or any number of other folks here on the internet who have broken it down and showed you how raw he really is at times. Certainly the hands, the drops, that's a major component that needs to get cleaned up. I think a large part of that is being in your body with do not turn and run and try to make something happen before you have secured the football. That's something that will undoubtedly be drilled into him. But you also see amazing catches, amazing body control, the ability to contort and sky and high point the ball over a number of defenders, both in the end zone, on the sideline. This man has every tool you could ever want, but it is going to take time. He is raw as hell. When you talk about like a route tree and what he was asked to do at TCU comparative to what he's going to be asked to do in Green Bay in the league, I mean, it is like when Dorothy steps through that door and it goes from black and white to color in Wizard of Oz. That is the type of awakening he's about to have as far as what's on offer and what's being asked of him. We got sirens. We got Olive calling me on the phone. We got all sorts of stuff going on. But right now, the most important thing is what's going on with you guys. Packers fans worldwide. That's what we do here at Cheesehead TV. Good to see everybody chiming in already on the chat. Soder, with really the chat of the day already, Bears still suck. Correct. That is absolutely correct. I like this. Javier. Looks like Jair is staying. Glad you were wrong, Nags. A lot of ball game left, Javier. Look, I want him to stay. I have said this many times. And I know I saw what Peter Schrager talked about on whatever platform he was on today. It's not done yet, though. And I know we got the Fowler report yesterday. We got Schrags today. A lot of ball game left. That's all I can say about that. Again, wake me up when it's training camp and he's in uniform. And then we'll talk about it. Simitovich, what's up, man? Random Packers, Bucky Pope and PJ Pope. Go Pack Go. Excellent additions. I'm assuming you probably read Bill Huber's post over there at SI, which was phenomenal. Again, talk about a great ability to get someone to click with the headline, 2 Popes have played for the Packers. I was like, wait, what? But Simitovich breaking it down right there. Grimpy, sorry. Golden is wearing 22. That's going to look very odd. It will look a little different and certainly take some getting used to. But as I said last week, when he was asked about it, his grandmother's favorite number is 2, and he's doing it to honor her. So I'm on board. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome when he's doing a Lambeau leap with that number 22 on his chest, shouting out his grandma. I'm in. I am all in. Give it to me. Dennis, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Is Jadeveon Clowney worth pursuing? Random Packer Travis Roadrunner Williams. Excellent choice. I gave him a maybe on Twitter today. Just a heads up that I'll have a video out later tonight. I'm going to be having a chat with Justice about Jadeveon and a number of other free agents that are still on the street. Just talking about breaking down, should the Packers be in or out? I think this is a phone call they probably make on Jadeveon Clowney. But like I said, I'm going to talk to Justice about that later today. Make sure you check that out here on the channel when it posts in a couple hours. Adam, this is great. Random Star Wars Packer, Capri Bibbs. Outstanding. Man, random Star Wars Lobot. Come on now. Give me some Star Wars characters. I absolutely love it. Ray, what's going on, man? Why do players that are productive like Clowney and Brandon Cooks keep changing teams? Excellent question, Roy. I mean, there's lots of levels to this. I always go back to the age-old truth that the NFL is a relationship business. A lot of times jobs are both, awarded and taken away because of relationships. Now, I have no idea about the inner workings of the Panthers and why they're moving on, outside of the fact that he was due a hefty amount, I believe in some form of a bonus or whatever, like $7 million or so, that will essentially allow them to sign their rookie class by releasing him. So there's obviously a financial component on one end, but then, yeah, to your point, like about why guys are moving from team to team, even though they are productive, sometimes it's relationships. Sometimes it's a fit within a scheme. Maybe a coach thinks this isn't really what we need and or want to get better, because it is about getting better and it is about improving both from within and signing people from without your organization. But man, I cannot stress enough how much relationships drive things in the NFL in a way that isn't always readily apparent or kind of, visible from the public's eye. But man, it drives so much. And a perfect case in point is all the drama around Jair Alexander. There are lots of things and lots of levels there. Lots of different relationships in play. Just remember, it is a relationship business before anything else. That's what I will say about that. Ryan, thanks for the super chat, man. Will you go live after the schedule release? Yes, I will be doing a schedule release live stream next week. I'll also be doing a breakdown with Justice that afternoon, because essentially, usually by late afternoon, you've got the majority of the schedule out. But once it's finalized, yes, I'll go live and we'll talk about it 100%. There's no doubt. Pretty much do that every year. Puma, what's going on? Love hands off to Savion on an end around to the right, stops and throws a bomb to Golden for the game-winning touchdown against the 49ers in the NFC Championship. Wow, you think the 49ers are going to turn around quick, huh? And yeah, hey man, the more you can do, and Savion has an arm, it's entirely possible. Dennis, I'm glad you asked this question. Is the Jair Alexander hate media driven? Well, first of all, no one in the media that I know of hates Jair. I do know that the media has spoken to people within the organization and connected to Jair, and those are the people that are manufacturing the headlines that you've read all offseason. But there's not hate behind those. There's not hate in reporting what they've been told. So no, absolutely not media driven. I will say there are frustrations within the organization, but there's not hate. That hate is way too strong a word for it. Andy. Absolutely. Schedule release. Win, 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 done. Apps. Nailed it. What else we got? Home opener. Oh, Chris, for the first time in Matt LaFleur's tenure, 1,000,000,000% time for Matt LaFleur to get a home opener. It is patently absurd that he has been coaching the Green Bay Packers since 2019 and has never, ever, I mean, not even once, opened a season at Lambeau Field. Look, I get everything about saving the divisional stuff for late in the season or wanting home games late in Lambeau. I'm all for that. That shouldn't mean no home openers. The NFL better do right this year and give LaFleur a home opener. Lambeau Field, opening weekend, let's go. That needs to happen because it's patently absurd that it hasn't yet. Aaron Harper, how are you, man? Random Packer, Frank Winters, Bears suck. That's eloquently stated, sir. Bo, not quite yet, Bo. We're approaching it. Bo asks, is this the worst time of the year NFL wise? Not even close, Bo. We still have the OTAs coming up. I believe May 20 something they kick off. So we'll get some on-field stuff and a little glimpse into the newest kind of version of the Green Bay Packers, right? And then you got the mandatory minicamp, which is really the first time that it's mandatory. So if someone doesn't show up there, this is possible kind of things to talk about, something to, basically bat around through the next couple of weeks, what have you. But then after the mandatory minicamp, yes, sir, that is the worst part. Like you go through that stretch from I want to say June 13th through July, probably 20th or so, when the shareholders meetings will happen and the training camp starts to kick off. Then we've made it, and okay, camp is here, and now you're on your way. But that stretch, that 1 month from mid-June to mid-July, that's tough stuff. That is tough stuff for an NFL fan. Although I will say, at least this year, if you're a soccer fan, you've got the Club World Cup coming up, and then next summer you got the actual World Cup coming up. So there's some things to take your minds off it, at least. So that's good. Strilov, my worst time is preseason injuries. I mean, it sucks, but it is part of football. Injuries mean that they're playing football. That's much better than mid-June with nothing to watch or talk about when it comes to the NFL. I understand, yes, 1,000,000,000% it sucks that you see injuries happen in preseason, but every team has to deal with it. And it's the teams that deal with it the best that usually, progress at least far enough to become in the mix and or contenders. Rai, how are you, man? If Hafley leaves next offseason, is there anyone in-house familiar with his scheme that can be promoted? Random Packer, Jared Aberteris. I would think a handful of guys. The name is totally escaping me now, but there's the secondary coach who's been with Hafley in a couple different spots. Also the linebackers coach, whose name is also escaping me. Both those guys have a history with Hafley and could take over. But there's also every possibility that if he were to leave, that Matt would find someone from outside the organization. I don't think he would automatically promote from within. I don't think that's a foregone conclusion. But it is interesting that Hafley, 1 year in the building, gets a head coach interview. Now, it was with the Jets, who cast a very wide net, but you can't deny the work he did his first year at 1265. Now, it's a long way to go. Who knows what happens this year? The idea is you got to be getting better, right? And hopefully another year in this defense, in this scheme, they are able to take a step forward, a noticeable step forward. And yes, it always kind of sucks when you have that brain drain. You have coaches leaving, but you never, obviously wishing for the best for Hafley. And the best for Hafley is him getting to a point where the defense is so good that he gets lots of interviews for head coaching jobs. That means the Packers defense is killing it, and I'm happy about that. Ryan Downard, Hafley Prodigy. Thank you. Ryan Downard was the name I couldn't remember. Thank you very much. Yes. Downard, interestingly enough, I talked to him last summer when they were doing some new drill work because it was a new defensive staff. He's obviously a holdover. And I was saying how I really liked one of the drills that they were doing. And he's like, that's my drill. I came up with that when I was with Hafley last time. So you're right, 100%. There is lineage there, history there, where I do think he would be maybe not automatically in contention, but I think that's a name that you might hear if Halfley were to move on. Wireburger, thanks for the super chat. Are we bringing in kicking competition, or are we sticking with our guy? Well, they signed him to a contract, so I'd be surprised. I know they had a punter in for tryouts, but at kicker, I would suspect, they signed McManus, and they still have Hale, the Australian guy, as their international roster member who they have a roster exemption for. So that's why they have 91 instead of 90, etc. in the offseason. Though at the moment, they still have a spot available, though I think they're giving it to the Canadian QB. So yeah, they signed him to a contract extension. That's their guy, I would suspect. I mean, never say never. Maybe there's somebody out there that they bring in just to see, take a look, right? But I suspect no, that's your kicker. McManus is your kicker. Hale will be there to, take some of the burden off of him, so he's not kicking all day every day during camp. But yeah, no, McManus is the guy, at least for the next couple of years. Simatovic, I think we are close to winning it all, but don't that Halfley would pull a Ben Johnson and stay one more year? It's entirely possible, though. Ben Johnson seems to have really kind of overstayed his welcome in Detroit as far as he had chances to leave the last 2 off seasons, and to the point where Washington's brass were flying to Detroit and they were in midair when he withdrew his name, and that was why it was so poetic when Washington beat Detroit in the playoffs, right? There was word that Ben Johnson was asking for a boatload of money, and probably the Bears finally gave it to him. But I don't know, man. I don't see Halfley like that, but anything's possible, especially if, hey, you get one shot, right? You get one chance to make your kind of case as a head coach, and you want to do it, find the greatest possible spot you could land in. Maybe Halfley sticks around for that reason. It's possible. Oh, Rai, what a question. Better play caller in your view, McCarthy or LaFleur? That's a very interesting question. I think Matt is a little bit more creative. Obviously, Mike really kind of saw his offense grow stale towards the end of his tenure in Green Bay. You saw how, he did make some adjustments in Dallas, but a lot of still static stuff, spread stuff that still asked the quarterback to basically pick a side, right? And hope that guy wins. Matt is, I think, a lot more creative in that regard. I do think Mike had a really good feel for the game as far as when to call a screen or when to call a draw play, things of that nature. I mean, the greatest play caller I ever saw in that regard was Mike Holmgren. I have never seen his equal. But I'd probably give the nod to LaFleur overall, both in the game planning stages, like leading up to how to attack a certain opponent, but then also on game day. But I don't think I would have said that even 3 years ago. I think Matt's gotten a lot better in that regard. I think over the kind of transition from whatever they were doing with Aaron Rodgers into his really owning the offense, I think he's really improved. And what I love about Matt, and I don't know if this was always the case with Mike, but what I absolutely love about Matt is his willingness to say the best idea in the room is the best idea in the room. When it comes to finding plays to include in your game plan that you can go to that other people have suggested, that other people have brought to the table. We hear all the time, well, this Stenovich suggested this, or Vrabel thought this would be a good idea. He's always giving credit to guys who have the idea for a certain play to take advantage of certain looks, certain defensive schemes, etc. Again, I know that went on with Mike, but I don't think it went on as much as it does with Matt. Matt has a real good open door policy in that regard. And again, a real strength of his is knowing like the best idea in the room is the best idea in the room. It doesn't matter where it came from. That's a very strong component for his coaching overall, let alone just offensively. Abdul, how are you, man? Hey, Aaron, if Love doesn't put together a full/complete season next year, will you have any concern? No, because there's a ton of ways to win football games. I mean, I fully expect him to, but right, they could completely come out and be inconsistent again and say, like, have a number of turnovers that are really frustrating, etc. A concern? No, I know you can win with Jordan Love. I know you can win a championship with him. I'll tell you what, if you can win a championship with Jalen Hurts, you can win a championship with Jordan Love 1000%. Now, you got to build a team around him. You got to be able to win lots of different ways. That's what the Eagles have done, right? No doubt in my mind, Jordan Love can lead them to a Super Bowl championship. But, this is, a very long ways away because I do think he's going to come out and play a really good year, have a really good year, play really well, play at a high level. He's got lots of stuff going for him, both within his own game and his surroundings. And as Matt always points out, it's not just one guy, ever. Michael, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. What are you expecting from special teams this year? Also, what is your prediction for the MSG crowd for Game 3? Oh, my God. I read something about the ticket costs for that first game between the Knicks and Celtics at Madison Square Garden. Whoo, baby. Knicks basketball in New York City when they're winning. Come on now. It's so much fun. You can't beat it. As far as special teams this year, improvement. They got to improve. They've certainly added a number of pieces for Bisaccia to utilize. I think a big component, obviously, is getting the kicking spots right. They've solved that finally. They did it after, casting about for a couple years, but they finally solidified that, right? Coverage, I think, will still be good, if not better, improved. But yeah, I think they have to improve on special teams this year. There are zero excuses. They've given Bisaccia everything he could possibly need to have I don't even need a top flight unit, but a much improved unit. That has to happen. Craig, thanks for the super chat, man. My last super chat was asking you about D-line coach and what they did. Can you do the same for the O-line coach? Compare, contrast the coaching roles. Well, it really is technique driven, especially at offensive line. And I've told this story before, but to reiterate, my complete understanding of what a coach, especially along the offensive line, is responsible for and does when it comes to the offensive line was completely changed when I participated in a Cool Clinic, which is a group that does, stuff for coaches, other coaches, like coaches all across the country. This was virtual. And Adam Stenovich did a breakdown of David Bakhtiari and a rookie along the offensive line at a game against the Colts. And it was just the imperceptible minutia that he was talking about absolutely blew my mind, right? When you're talking about the stance and the steps and the splits, the space that the guys give between each other prior to each snap, like there's so many little things that go into it that the coach is responsible for not only, coming up with and reiterating and drilling and all those things, but being able to keep track through meticulous review of both practice film and game film, going over that with each and every guy, being able to utilize all those things that they're teaching, not just the starters, but the backups, and knowing who's ready to come up, being able to maximize what is, sorry guys, at this point, very minimal amount of time to get with these guys. Bakhtiari and I did a podcast years ago talking about how the latest CBA is sorry guys, dusty outside. The latest CBA has destroyed so much of what used to go into offensive line play. The time spent on task, the ability to work together, the ability to work together in pads is completely gone. To actually have meaningful reps in pads together for more than, a preseason game, it's totally gone. So, offensive line play in general around the league has taken a massive step back in the last 20 years. The offensive line coach, not only everything I talked about technique wise, but then both in the run game and the pass game, the protection alone is a massive responsibility. Yes, the offensive coordinator and the head coach and the play caller, in Matt LaFleur's case, they're setting up like, okay, this is what we want in each situation, pass pro wise. But man, you're the offensive line coach. You are responsible for not only each of those sets, but then whatever may possibly happen at the line of scrimmage as far as the center IDing who the middle backer is, and then whatever the quarterback does to adjust that protection. Well, each one of your guys has to know those responsibilities and how it affects all the other guys, mostly the guy playing next to them, but the entire line. This is all stuff that gets drilled into and down, and they talk about each and every day. A lot of it in the classroom, but also obviously on the practice field. And it's just this is what kind of drives me insane when people go in on Butkus, because of maybe somebody plays poorly, like Thomas Newman back in the day or whatever. It's like, man, there's so much that goes into it, and it's not like these coaches are um, mailing it in. You just have to participate or watch one single practice out there at Ray Nitschke Field to see how kind of really down deep in the minutia they get with each and every possible thing that these guys are going to have to do on the football field. So that's a long-winded way, and I'm sorry I had to cough through it, but yeah, they do a hell of a lot, and they usually, a lot of the times, they are much more often than not, they're kind of the heartbeat of your offensive staff. I mean, this is a group that touches everything, no matter if you're running or passing the ball. They are responsible for success of each and every one of those plays. So that's a long-winded way of saying they do a lot. They do a whole hell of a lot. All right, buddy. I'm going to have to get going. I cannot thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Please do me a monster favor and hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.